I believe that no member of Congress, by House rule, should be allowed to accept a donation for their campaign from a federal lobbyist or a federal political action committee. That money all has strings attached to it, and anybody who tries to tell you otherwise is lying. And when members take hundreds of thousands of dollars from lobbyists and PACs, they work for them more than they work for their constituents. And guess what? I intend to offer that amendment on the House floor in January, and I already have Democrats ready to vote for it, maybe even all of them. The second thing I would suggest is that if someone is a member of Congress, they should be prohibited from lobbying for life. Why is it so hard to say that you should choose one side or the other to be on? You're either in the law-making game or you're in the influence peddling game. And those who choose to be in the influence peddling game, go ahead, but you should sacrifice that when you get the privilege to represent 750,000 people. I intend to offer that amendment on January 3rd, and I expect that there will be Democrats voting for it. I will also introduce an amendment to have a ban on members of Congress trading individual stocks. How can we say that that is not something that dilutes our trust in markets and in governance when people are essentially able to bet on the outcomes that they have an ability to somewhat control? And I expect Democrats to vote for that. And finally, I would observe something that has really worked well in the state of Florida, a single subject rule. A bill coming to the floor should only deal with one subject. I was incensed as a freshman when I had to vote on the farm bill and whether or not to authorize war in Yemen in the same vote. And we can still have broad bills that relate to insurance or education or appropriations, but the notion that we lash all these things together does not serve our constituents and the American people. And I would expect, if we're in the majority, Democrats will vote for my amendment for a single subject rule.
I'm sorry. I'm learning how to read, y'all. It's either this or I turn off the camera and just be angry and don't learn. Because regardless, this is why people give up. When you see an adult and they be like, why you never learn? Like, because this is what they would have to go through. I don't know if they'll go through it like me, but I'm going to tell you something. If you don't know how to read and you're an adult and you're going to start learning how to read, you will not get through this without any vulnerability, bro. Like, you don't. Ah! I'm supposed to know this! I'm supposed to know this shit already! Ah! Stay up, baby. Don't give up. Ah! Let's go, baby! Let's go. Let's go. You learning, yo. You learning how to read. You learning. That's what it is. Let's go. Let's go. And so Wilbur came home to visit beloved Manor Pile in the barn cellar. His was a strange homecoming. Around his neck he wore a medal of honor. In his mouth he held a sack of spider eggs. They're supposed to know this stuff, yo. I'm supposed to already know how to read. I'm supposed to get this. Let's go. I need it, baby. I need it all. Let's go. Let's go. You breathing. Let's read. Let's go. Let's go. His was strange homecoming. Around his neck, he had a sack spider egg. There is no place like home, Wilbur thought, as he placed Charlotte's 540 unborn children carefully in a safe corner. The barn smelled good. His favorite friends, the sheep and the geese, were glad to see him back. I gotta heal, y'all. Like, if I don't go through this, I'll never learn how to read. Like, I gotta fight my fears. I gotta fight my emotions. They don't own me. I own them. Geese were glad to see him back. The geese gave him a nose.
How do we get phones in Africa? I'll show you how.
I don't know where the gods of wealth placed the phones this time. We usually have to dig in the ground every other season to get the phones.
Wait. There's something that looks like a phone here. But you got a phone.
I got an iPad.
Wow. Oh my God.
So that's how we get phones in Africa.
Okay, so I research everything before we watch it, but especially this movie. Obviously, I heard about it. Yes, we wanted to see it. It has an amazing rating. We prepared ourselves. I didn't know when the scene was going to happen, and I also didn't understand how the scene was happening. I thought it was just several minutes straight of, but it wasn't. It was actually broken up into like, it would do a flash of that, and then it would do a flash of normal life, and then it would do a flash of the scene, and then it was like very, back and forth. So it was really difficult to avoid it. But obviously my husband and I talk about everything. If we go anywhere or we go see anything, even if it's a concert, movie, an event, we have a game plan. We talk about things like, what if you get triggered? What if I get triggered? Really, the problem isn't what if you get triggered. The problem is what if I get triggered, because I don't want my night to be ruined by being triggered by something on a screen. So essentially, what we did was, when the scene came up, when things were happening, he literally closed his eyes and laid his head on my shoulder. Like, if this is my shoulder, like this is my shoulder, he like this. And then I would just like let him know whenever it was over. And it literally, I will tell you what right now, took nothing away from the story. Him not looking at the screen during did not change the storyline, did not change anything. Have a plan and talk about it before you go.
I can't remember the last time I was personally harassed.
Low-key this morning.
Yesterday.
I haven't been.
This morning. I heard someone say, "Hey, beautiful," and usually I just keep on walking, and then he started calling me a bitch.
Today on the train, actually. This guy, old enough to be my father, mind you, he really had the audacity to come up to me and be like, "You looking for a boyfriend?" No.
I haven't been.
No memory of that ever happening.
No, it's never happened.
I'm a black woman in New York City. That's every day.
Definitely within like the last week. I just can't like narrow it down like 4 days ago.
Low-key this morning, this 25-year-old literally followed me on his scooter, and he knew my age. I told him my age, and he was like, "Oh, you look mature though."
Truthfully, I don't think I've ever been harassed on the street. Not anything I would define as harassment.
Never.
Just this morning before I got to work, it was like a bunch of construction workers, and they were making really inappropriate comments like nice tits. They were just making a bunch of disgusting comments. I told them to eat a dick, and I went to work.
I mean, it's different for me because I'm a white dude and a lot of people don't really just like come scream at me and yell at me.
Probably 2 weeks ago. Well, I was walking towards the train station and I got catcalled. And I was also wearing like a dress that was like kind of modest. It's an abaya. So like you wouldn't really think that you would be harassed while wearing like really loose fitted clothing. But yeah.
I can't remember the last time I was personally harassed. Actually, let me edit that. Okay, it was like in 2008, someone tried to mug me on the L train.
I don't really get harassed. New York City is pretty chill.
I would say a couple days ago. As always, it's unexpected and unwarranted. And especially being very, very pregnant right now, it wasn't something I was expecting. But yeah, it still happens.
Atheist. What are you going to say when you stand in front of God?
Why did you stay hidden? Why did you stay silent? Why did you demand faith instead of providing evidence? Why did you reveal yourself in a book full of historical inaccuracies and theological contradictions? If you knew that the vast majority of humans you created would end up in hell, why did you create them? Why did you create hell? How is infinite punishment justice for a finite crime? What is the point of torturing someone in hell if they can never get out of it and never learn? Why would you purposely tempt Adam and Eve? Did you want them to fail? I mean, when I had children, I baby-proofed my house. I didn't light a fire in the middle of the living room and tell them not to get close to it. Why didn't you condemn slavery? Why did you create rules explaining to humans how you wanted them to conduct their slave trade? Why are there only 10 commandments? Why did you think keeping the Sabbath day holy was more important to include than not graping people? Did you think it was more important to tell children they needed to respect and obey their parents instead of telling parents not to abuse their children? Why did you make it possible for humans to physically hurt each other? You didn't give us unlimited abilities. I can't just spread my wings and fly. You chose not to give us wings. Why choose to make it possible for priests to grape children? How could you watch that happen in your churches, by your servants, and do nothing? Why do you treat people like they're expendable background characters in other people's story? In trying to test Job, you allow his children to die, as though they're not people in and of themselves. Why do you think that giving Job more children later makes up for killing his first? Why do you demand love? Why do you demand worship? Why can you not offer forgiveness freely? Why do you demand human sacrifice? Why do you demand perfection from humans that you acknowledge are incapable of achieving it? Why would you punish people for not achieving something that they're not capable of achieving? When a school fails, we blame administrators. When a war fails, we blame generals. When a country fails, we blame its leaders. If this earthly system that you conceived of and ultimately created has failed so badly that you have no other option but to destroy it with fire, how is it our fault? Why do you blame your failed creation? And if you really wanted me to believe that you exist, to trust that you are good, and to be inspired to follow you so that one day I can be the best, most loving version of myself, then why on earth would you send this follower of yours to my page to tell me that he is looking forward to the day I end up in hell? How on earth would that ever win me over?
Hi y'all, my name is Jay, and this is kind of my situation right here. I am not a special education teacher. I am a paraprofessional. I do not have a bachelor's degree, no certifications, no accreditations whatsoever to be teaching a class full of specially educated kids. And this is the second day they've had me do this. They knew that the teacher was not going to be here today. She called ahead and told them, I'm not going to be here. They still didn't get sub because they know that they could rely on us. These kids are nonverbal. They can't tell their parents that they don't have a teacher. And so they get away with it. If this school receives federal funding, these kids need to have a special education teacher here. It's a human rights violation. Y'all need to look into TUSD because this is happening everywhere. Every class, every school that I've been contracted to go to, the teacher is always ready to quit. There's no support. No IEPs are being met. This is a human rights violation and no one's talking about it because these kids can't advocate for themselves.